Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. Alright, guys, on this episode of the Bullet Points this morning, we are going to give you even more of a reason to activate and vote in November. I've got a few House members here who are up to their same old tricks. The Democrats recently have gotten into this niche and this thing of sending letters to anyone and everyone that has anything to do with the firearm supply chain, the POS systems, the YouTube algorithms, anybody in the world. They've got letterheads, so they're going to use it, and this is no different. This time they're attacking buy now and pay later providers, let's just say it that way. They've got to cut it off at the source because they cannot do it legislatively. The judicial is kicking them right in the teeth, and the executive branch is limited in their power. This is incredibly important to understand. Everything will be linked in the description box below, and I cannot wait to hear what you think of the newest shenanigans from some of the Democrats in Congress. Make sure you check out the video from Established Titles who sponsored this content, and then on the other side I'm going to show you what they're up to. You guys heard of the castle doctrine? Well, with this sponsor, we're going to take it to the next level, and if you are defending your castle with something more traditional that looks like this, or maybe something a little more modern that looks like this, Established Titles gives you the ability to call yourself Lord or Lady while defending your castle. Now, the title packs give you 1 square foot of established land on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official certificate with a crest, like you see right here. You may all refer to me now as Lord Braden. Thank you in advance. Your certificate features a unique plot number with which you can see the exact location of your land. And if you're one of the first 200 to use the link in the description box below, we can create our own little LOA kingdom near my personal plot. It makes a great last-minute gift. They even have couple packs that come with adjoining plots of land in said fiefdom. They plant a tree with every order and work with global charities, 1 tree planted and trees to the future to support global reforestation efforts. My personal favorite reason to do this? You could officially change your name to Lord or Lady, so anything woke will have to address you by your proper title, which will send them into the next dimension, which might be worth it by itself. And you can get on that credit card, and you can even put it on your dating profiles. It makes an amazing last-minute gift. Establishment Titles is actually running a massive sale right now. Plus, if you use the code Langley, you get an additional 10% off. So go to establishedtitles.com/Langley to get your gifts now and help support the channel. And thank you so much in advance for checking it out. All right, brothers and sisters, let's dive into this because game is afoot. Like I said, the Democrats have this nasty inclination recently to start using congressional letterhead to pressure their political opponents' supply chains. We've seen it with senators pressuring YouTube. We've seen it with House representative members pressuring financial institutions, firearms industry as a whole. Well, we've got another one. Check this out, because now you can't have buy now, pay later. That's not acceptable. Democrats send letter to company offering buy now, pay later firearms financing. Lawmakers told Cordova Financial of Montana they are concerned its deferred payment plans could potentially fuel gun violence. How? If you pay cash for something, or if you pay a credit card for something, or if you do a deferred payment for something, how does that have a different impact on anything? Now, if your argument is the fact that the gun was sold in general and that increases gun violence, A, that's kind of silly, and silly is a nice word. And the other thing is, that's kind of unconstitutional to just say, well, people who have the financial means to buy something in cash, they can have their constitutional rights. But those that have to do deferred payment plans, who need the guns the most, even Biden said it in his little PA anti-gun speech last night, they can't have it because that increases crime because they're using deferred payment methods. Again, gun control targets the economically lower end of the spectrum. This whole thing is about, Anyway, let's keep going. Because this, I got to show you. I've got the letter. I'm probably going to do another video on it because the letter is a whole different ballgame by itself. In recent years, more retailers have turned to buy now, pay later financing to help customers pay for goods and services. I'm sure in your lives you've seen that across the board. You can do it with home goods. You can do it with almost anything in the world. You can get new credit cards. You can do all sorts of different options. You can do phone payment plans. There's anything you can find a way to buy something, you're going to be able to find a way to buy it in America. But firearms are different because that's evil. That leads to more gun crime. Yeah. Anyway, let me show you what they're up to here. Now, one, BNPL, which is buy now, pay later, firm has drawn the attention of Democrats for making it easier for consumers to use the payment plans to buy guns and ammunition. Aghast. On Monday, 18 Democratic lawmakers sent a letter to Cordova Financial LLC, based in Bozeman, Montana, to express concern that its purchasing programs could worsen America's gun violence problem. Lawmakers representing large cities, including New York, Boston, and Houston, were among those who signed the letter. And I've got to list a few of the who's who of gun controllers down here in a second. Oh, goodness gracious. But listen to their reasoning. Listen to what they're actually putting forward. They're not even saying all the things in the letter. The letter is a different level, which I'm going to cover on a different video. Quote, "We are concerned that the ease with which buyers can acquire guns through buy now, pay later will result in more guns and increased gun violence in our nation's community." So even they say it right there. If there's more guns, there's more gun violence, which is completely refuted by all of the data that's coming out, where you have a dramatic increase of guns purchases over the last 20, 30 years, and then you have a dramatic decrease in crime. But let's not talk about facts and statistics. Let's talk about my feelings and my votes. They estimated that Cordova has already partnered with nearly 70 gun merchants and noted that it claims, quote, "Merchants who use Cordova see an increase of 51% in overall sales volume." I wonder if that's the real reason. Because if they can stop 51% of sales volume increase at 70 of the largest institutions, that sounds like a win for a gun controller, doesn't it? Let's get the letterhead out. We've got congressional pressure to apply. Among the representatives' questions, because you know there was a full list of questions, just like they like to do and put pressure across different companies, which is not wrong at all. What safeguards should Cordova have in place to ensure firearms aren't being purchased illegally or by people with criminal histories using the company's services? That's not their responsibility. We have a government background check system. It's called the NICS system. It runs through the FBI. There's a 4473, which is a government form. All those things are taken care of by the government. But the Democrats say, hey, Cordova Financial, what are you doing to prevent all these background checks from failing? What are you doing to make sure crime doesn't happen? That's not their responsibility, boo. Anyway, let's keep going. Does Cordova have information about whether guns bought through its Buy Now, Pay Later program have been used to commit unlawful acts of violence? Well, that sounds just like what they want to do with Carolyn Maloney's new bill for the gun manufacturers. They want them to hold a database of all the guns that have been committed with crime that they created, and they want them to be mandated by the government to own that database, to maintain that database, to make sure it's accessible for oversight. Have I told you guys that I'm going to miss Carolyn Maloney now she got beaten by the high-waisted fiend Jerry Nadler? Yeah, I'm not going to. And how does Cordova ensure that purchases of firearms meet state firearm purchase requirements? That is the state's responsibility. That is not a financial institution's responsibility. Financial institution, hey, are you credible for the money? Do you want the money? Here's your payment plan. Do you accept it? Cool, we all just made money. That's their whole deal. That's the whole ball of wax. But these Democratic Congress people, well, we can use the congressional pressure to apply pressure to financial institutions, to independent companies. These people are drunk with power. But here's the letterhead, which they clearly overuse way too much. This is to Mr. Dusty Wunderlich, Chief Executive Officer of Cordova Financial. But let's get down to a couple of the who's who signed it. First, we have the high-waisted fiend himself, Jerry Nadler, who was just reelected chair of the Judicial Committee. Sheila Jackson Lee, can't you say that? The brightest person on the planet. Then we've got her counterpart, Al Green, another shining star of intelligence. And the soon-to-be RIP career, Carolyn Maloney. Ooh, all the goodies. And that's what they're doing today. So now, let's put more pressure on financial institutions, not to mention the fact that these buy now, pay laters, and in the letter, I'll kind of give you a little preview. In that letter, they go into the fact that people of color and minorities use buy now, pay later much more than anybody else. So they can't have guns because that's buy now, pay later. So you need to have money to have your rights. What's with the left and Democrats and having rights for the elitist and not having rights for the everyday person? That's what I'm going to leave you with. I'll see you tonight at the 9 p.m. segment. Let me know what you think, and I will talk to you then.